Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the video. Today we're going to take and begin to get rid of our old V-belt setup and no air conditioning to installing this setup here, which is just a pull off of something out of a junkyard, but it does have the serpentine belt and air conditioning, yes. So we definitely, air conditioning is nice to have. So we're gonna work on getting this put in. It takes a few parts. So let's look at those. All right, I guess a fella could, when he harvested this stuff out of the junkyard, you could pull the water pump off of your engine and the clutch fan with the fan blade, serpentine belt, all that stuff, and just run with it. But what I've done is I purchased a water pump, because we have to have a reverse flow water pump with the serpentine setup, a new clutch for the fan, and I've ordered a new fan blade, but it's not here yet. Basically, what I got was the power steering pump feels good. The air conditioner compressor was working, and the alternator was also working. I may end up replacing both idlers. We'll just see what kind of noises we have. I've already taken the crank pulley. I've cleaned it up, repainted it, as well as repainted what was black on the water pump pulley. I did leave it bare metal where the belt rides, though. I just guessed when I ordered the belt to the correct length. I'm hoping it's right, but it was cheap enough that no big deal. So first thing, hey guys, let's take a time out and give a shout out to a couple of guys that kind of helped me along in a little bit of YouTube stuff and just got some cool content out there. So I got a sticker here from Robert's Garage. Robert and I traded up stuff there, so that was cool. I sent him a Hogshooter Hot Rod decal, and then I got stuff with Cletus. Man, he sent me a whole package full of goodies there, a whole envelope full. So that's awesome. I really appreciate those guys. You ought to consider checking out their channels and subscribing. So, hey, back to the C10, sucker. First thing we got to do is we got to turn our attention over to the truck, and I think we're going to go ahead and drain the coolant out of the radiator and the power steering fluid out of the power steering pump that's hiding down here, and we can start disassembly. All right, down in here, the first thing that I did was I took just both battery cables loose, took the wires loose from the back of the alternator, removed the alternator out of this area right here so we could get at the lower radiator hose and spill antifreeze everywhere. I thought about just loosening the petcock, but I believe I have a better chance of getting everything in the drain pan if I just dump it out right here. And we get that out. We'll take this hose off and then look at whether we're going to remove the water pump or if we're going to remove the power steering pump next. Not sure. So, hey, you want to watch coolant go everywhere? Let's check it out. Yeah, come on now. Do what we're asking you to do. Whew, I was afraid I was going to have to almost cut this hose to get it loose, but it looks like it's just going to pop right off. Yeah, they always do that, right? Just pop right off there. Huge mess. Here it comes. Oh yeah. Well, you know, 75% of it hitting the pan, maybe even better than 75%. Not too much splash or anything going on. I think that's a success. So I'm going to go ahead and keep pulling parts off. I'll bring you guys in if it gets exciting. All right, so man, I did get it all out in one piece. Really opened up the old engine compartment here. Hey, believe me, it's only 4 bolts to take that fan off, so by all means, fight it as much as you can getting it out of there. Don't take all the bolts out. No, don't listen to me. Do what you were going to do and disassemble this thing. The biggest problem I had, I didn't realize that the belt was still on the crank pulley and it caught on the water pump and wouldn't let me pull it out. I did get it out of there without any major casualties, so we'll be good. Next thing is the power steering pump, then the crank pulley, and then clean up, put a water pump on, put the crank pulley on first. Do all that low stuff first while you have room, then put the water pump on. One other thing is this new power steering pump, it is going to require either an adapter fitting or a special line because we'll be going from an O-ring seal to inverted flare on the steering box. So that's something to keep in your mind too. Okay. That's right. That's done. I'm not room. No, should finish off the side. All right, so little red thread locker on the fastener. I have 2 of them started just so it makes it easier to start this one. I'll go back and pull those other 2 and put Loctite in them. And then we can put the crank pulley up on the engine. Well, all right, guys, things are looking pretty good in here. New water pump on there, all tightened down, sealed up. I got the lower pulley on, and everything's looking great. I am going to have to completely take this fuel line off that runs from the mechanical fuel pump down here up. We'll have to reroute that because it's going to be in the way. I'm thinking I may have to do something different with the water neck and this upper radiator hose too. I did look really seriously at this setup right here, and I've determined it would work, but it is not going to be the best solution. Alright guys, so you've seen me struggle taking stuff apart and then got a water pump back on. Things have changed, plans are a little bit different here. I ended up going to the pick apart salvage, finding a 94 S10 and taking the bracketry off the front of a 4.3 liter V6. That worked out better because the AC compressor is on the passenger side, the air conditioning box is on the passenger side. It's going to work out great. The water pump, everything is fine with that. The crank pulley is good. I did have to move this fuel line, and I just kind of left it hooked up because it was dripping gas out. We will have to bend us up a new line a little bit cleaner to get back here to our filter. On this side of the engine, we got our power steering pump mounted, got our bracket mounted onto the engine block. You have to mount the bracket before you can put the pulley or the pump on. So you have to pull the pulley off to get the pump out of the bracket. So it's kind of a combination of effects there. Go down to O'Reilly's and rent or buy the puller. It's nice to have. You can't pull on the pulley itself or it'll bend it. Ask me how I know. Then we got plenty of room in between the shroud and the AC compressor over there. You can see I did not get an alternator with this because it was already robbed off the vehicle in the salvage. I know what the vehicle was, so I'll get the correct alternator that fits, and we'll have to adapt the wiring to the old truck. I still have to press this pulley back on the power steering pump. May have to remove the fan shroud. Heck, I might have to take the radiator out to get all this done. But whatever, we'll make it happen. Still have to hook up my power steering lines, and I want to show you a little something with one of those with the valve for the pressure side. All right, so inside of the back of your power steering pump, it has a big nut like this with the fitting for the pressure side of the hose to go on. This is the valve out of the later model pump. I just pulled it out, okay? And you can see it seals with this O-ring. Your original truck, the lines are going to be made to go into a tapered type of a seat. So I just took this out and changed it with the one out of the old pump. Now, a lot of you probably know, a lot of interchangeability between stuff, and this fitting just threaded right in. Everything looked to be exactly the same. So that's what I've done to the pump to make it work with my factory line, so I don't have to swap out to some hybrid, something that I couldn't buy in a parts store. So when you go into the salvage yard and you're grabbing stuff for your next project, it's a good idea to go ahead and grab everything. I pulled this old belt out of the truck. It was kind of laying all wadded up, but hey, it's got the part number on it, so I can get the right belt when I put my truck back together. Get all the hardware that you can when you take these things apart. I think sometimes it's better just to go into the salvage and buy a piece, because I can get all the nuts, bolts, and screws that the OE used putting it on there. I even make sure and get all your pulleys, tensioners, everything with the vehicle when you grab it out at the salvage. That way, the bearings may be bad, but I know which one to go get. I also like to grab some air conditioning lines, because this is a 134A fitting, and this is the high pressure line. So if I can somehow incorporate that into my new system, then I don't have to worry about adapting the fill ports. It's really 6 on one hand and half a dozen on the other there, but we always have this as a possibility, and it connects to the 134 AC compressor, which I grabbed also. So I'm not going to put this in right away, but I did grab it because it appeared to be good. This AC system had been rebuilt. has a remanned compressor on it. It had a brand new dryer. I thought about grabbing that, but I went ahead and left it there. With the AC stuff, I mean, we might as well put a new dryer in anytime we do the. All right, here's the little fitting in the back of the power steering pump, and we're going to bust that out of there with impact. I said may have to take the bracket off first. Okay.